15 years ago, I moved to Las Vegas, and after I got settled in, a buddy came and visited. And as I was driving him from the airport to my condo, he sees a school bus and he goes, "You guys have kids in Vegas?" Yes, we have kids in Vegas. We have schools in Vegas. We have houses and neighborhoods in Vegas. We have churches in Vegas. Actually, the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce, in their 1996 relocation guide, said that Las Vegas had the highest per capita houses of worship than any other city of the United States. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they printed. We live in Las Vegas. And because we live in Las Vegas, we also die in Las Vegas. And dying can be tough. What we've seen here in the last few years is that living can be just as difficult. The sociologist Matthew Ray, who did work here in Las Vegas, found that we risk a suicide risk of 50% higher because we are residents of Clark County, Nevada, than any other county in the United States. That's sad. And in a town of neon and spectacle, a lot can feel artificial. And I've seen friends, family, and neighbors endlessly looking and searching for something real and authentic. I wanted to be a part of that solution to find what that purpose was so we can get it out and spread it to our friends and our neighbors here in Las Vegas. And I did not go seeking a guru, a life coach, a religious leader. I went to people who are at the end of their lives. I went and I spoke with hospice patients. I wanted to know, what did they cherish? What did they regret? And what did they find meaningful at the end of their lives? This journey was inspired by a personal walk of mine. My mother, who I was estranged from, on her deathbed, apologized to me. And on her deathbed, we had very sacred conversations, very enlightening conversations. And I figured that I will go to those who are dying to find the meaning of life. And what we found was so profound and so prophetic. I teamed up with Kim Anderson Mackey from Amori Hospice here in Las Vegas, my very brilliant friend Kevin Santos is a sound engineer, and we went about having those conversations. They did not talk about money. They didn't talk about success, how many followers they had. They talked about relationships. They talked about faith. And so for my little scattered remarks here tonight, I want to share with you the 5 lessons I've learned about living from those who are dying. Number 1, find a good purpose. Not a grand purpose, not a great purpose, not a world-changing purpose, but a good purpose. A purpose that's calculated and measured not by success, but by significance to others. Ken knew that. Ken was a laborer here in Las Vegas. He had been diagnosed with lung cancer. In our conversations, this laborer, who had built some of the most iconic buildings in our city and along our famed strip, he was a labor man, a part of one of these unions that make our state so wonderful and great. Ken, when he talked about his life, did not talk about the success or the money or the buildings. Ken has his beautiful family who I had the opportunity to meet, but Ken only teared up when he spoke about the volunteer fire department he helped found in a small western Pennsylvania town in his 20s. Not a great purpose, not a world-changing purpose, not a grand purpose, but Ken found a good purpose. The theologian Mike Murdock writes, "How do you find your purpose? Just start with 2 questions. Whose tears affect you? Whose enemies are you willing to confront?" Start there. So the first lesson, I learned about life from the dying is find a good purpose. The second lesson I learned was finding great power. This is not about religion, it's about spirituality. We are going to die. And 88% of hospice patients believe that there's something greater and better than this existence. Even the conversations I had, even those who had identified as agnostic and atheist on their deathbed hoped for something greater than this existence. And if we're feeling sluggish, we're feeling tired, perhaps maybe it's because we have disconnected from a great power. I have been here at this event all day, and I've been away from my phone charger. And every time I look at my phone, it diminishes and it diminishes and it diminishes. So with us, if we are not connected to a great source of power, our lives become diminished. Denny was a college athlete, strong, strapping, defensive linebacker. After his college days were over, he moved to Las Vegas for a job. Last July, he was at our Las Vegas Convention Center and he felt dizzy. He worked himself to the bathroom and did not make it. Boom, passed out. And as he gained consciousness, there are EMTs standing all around him. He thinks it's July, it's Vegas, it is scorching hot, I'm dehydrated. The EMT said that might be the case, but let us take you to the hospital just for precaution. And let's do some evaluations. They get him to the hospital, they run their evaluations, and as he's sitting waiting to be discharged, the doctor comes into the room, shuts the door, and says, colon cancer, stage 4. Denny woke up that morning thinking he was healthy. He went to bed that night knowing he would die. I asked Denny, are bucket lists real? He said, yeah, they are. But mine, forget the skydiving and swimming with sharks. He said, my bucket list is that every single day I want to be around my people. So the third lesson I learned about life from the dying is find good people. Find people who are rooting for you. Find people who want the best for you. Find people who love you, because at the end, they are the ones who matter. They are the ones that will be holding your hands. And that is a great joy, because we live in an age where we can literally be deleted and blocked by a tap of a finger. We can literally be diminished by a swipe of a finger. It should bring us great joy that we have people in our lives that love us and want to see us succeed. A good friend of mine who is an author and a teacher down in Dallas, Dr. Delvin Atchison, tells a story of a time where he was flying to Vegas and his flight had a stopover in Denver. It was one of those types of stopovers where you don't have to get off the plane. But as they were approaching the airport in Denver, the flight attendant gets on the PA and says, those who are heading on to Las Vegas do not need to get off the plane. Just make room for the people who are getting off at Denver to get their baggage and get off the plane. Devlin says there's a message in there that not everyone who starts with us at our departure are destined to be with us at our destination. Give them room to take their baggage and get off your plane. But isn't it a great gift? Those that start off at your departure, who go along this journey with you, that those are the ones who will be there when your plane is ready to land. That is great joy to have those type of people. Hold on to those people. Embrace those people. The first lesson I learned about living from the dying, find a good purpose. The second lesson I learned about life from the dying, find a great power. The third lesson, find good people. I'm a country boy. I grew up in a town of 533 people in East Texas, New Chapel Hill, Texas. We hunted, we fished, and my across the street neighbors one day dug a stock pond. And if you ever seen fish out of water, they're flipping and flopping and floundering. They look pretty stupid. But when you pick those fish up and throw them into the water, their magic appears. Mike Murdoch, who I mentioned earlier, has this theory that where you are is just as important as who you are. So the fourth lesson I've learned about life from the dying is find a great place. Places where you are not tolerated, but places that you are celebrated. Places that allow your magic to appear. And some of us are stuck in careers and jobs and marriages and places and even cities that do not sustain our spirit. And it is time to make the decision to find a great place now. Oliver Berkman, the great writer of that magnificent book, 4,000 Weeks, says that the human lifespan is absurdly, terrifyingly, and insultingly short. That the average lifespan of each human being is about 4,000 weeks. So every day, every minute, every week, every month, every year, you are staying still and stagnant in places that do not sustain your spirit. You cannot get those times back. My friend Kevin Koenig says there's two things that people overestimate about themselves. Number one is that we think that we dress better than what we do, and that we're funny, that we think we're funnier than what we really are. I'll add a third one, that we all think we have more time than what we have. Do it now. Find a great purpose, find a great power, find good people, find a good place. And the last lesson I've learned about life from the dying, find a great present. Now. It's the only thing that we have control of. Now. So precious and so present. Yesterday may have left its marks, or it could have left great memories, but it's gone. Today is what we have. Today is what is guaranteed, and we have the power to embrace our nowness. Wake up to it. Love it. Live in it. Dr. Forrest Church, great preacher and speaker out of New York City, on his deathbed, wrote the mantra to a meaningful life can be summed up in this: want what you have, be who you are, do what you can, and love who you're with. There was a small village that had a great elder, respected and wise and revered. Also in this small village was a younger man who was terribly jealous of this wise man and how everyone respected him so much. And so he devised a plan to make a fool of the wise man. What he was going to do is going to take a small chick, put it in his hand, and he was going to go up to the wise man and say, "Wise man, is the chick in my hand, is it alive or is it dead?" If the wise man would say, "The chicken in your hand is alive," the young man would crush the chick, open his hand, and expose the dead chick. But had the wise man said, "The chicken in your hand is dead," the young man would simply open his hand and expose the live chick. So it's the day that he's going to make a fool of the wise man. The crowd had gathered, and the young man approaches the wise man and goes, "Wise elder, it's the chick in my hand. Is it alive or is it dead?" The wise man pondered, thought, hung his head, and he looked up and says, the answer to life or death lies within your hand. There's a palliative doctor in the Bay Area. It was featured on the documentary series Extremists, which is on Netflix. He said something truly profound that caught my attention. He says, my healthy friends are every day concerned and consumed about when they're going to die and how they're going to die. But my dying patients are consumed every day with how am I going to live? The answer to life or death lies within our own hands. I hope you choose life. Viva Las Vegas.